everybody. I'm Victoria Simmons with the Georgia Post, and this is this week's edition of the Georgia Post Review. My co-host, Christy Watkins, is sick this week, but our guest this week is Doug Kelly with the Crawford County Recreation Department. And as we all know, here in Crawford County, we have a great recreation department. Doug, tell us what you got upcoming, how things are going. Just tell us all about Crawford County Recreation.
Well, we just started our baseball and softball season. We're practicing every day of the week. The kids are getting ready for the season. Our opening day ceremony is March the 24th at 11 a.m.
This Saturday.
This Saturday, yeah. We have about 200 kids registered. That's about an average for us over my tenure of 4 years. And then after that, in the summer, we'll have All-Stars. We'll be hosting the District 9 and 10 Boys Dixie Youth All-Star Tournament, and that'll decide who moves on to the state tournament. And then we'll be hosting our big tournament this year is the Dixie Girls State softball tournament, and that will be June the 21st through the 24th at our park, and that will be every age group from 6 and under to 14 under. So that's pretty exciting. That's going to bring a lot of visitors into Crawford County, so we're excited about that.
Yeah, that the visitors come in, helps with the, they buy food here, they spend money here, so it's really good for the economy in Crawford County.
Yeah.
So you've been here
4 years. I've been the recreation director almost 4 years, not quite 4 years. I was hired in 2014 by the Recreation Board. My board is appointed by the commissioners. They serve 3-year terms, and they have to reapply every 3 years. So, and they hired me in 2014, and they give me a year review to make sure that I'm doing a good job.
So you were actually like the first paid recreation
Yes,
director?
ma'am. I'm part-time recreation director, full-time fireman at another government close by, and I've enjoyed my time. It's a learning experience, but I've got a lot of good experience from it, and we're moving forward with our rec department.
Yes, we sure are. Tell us about some of the growing pains that you have, because I know y'all have done so much out there. It's amazing.
Yeah, and let me tell you, the commissioners, when I walked in and got to know some of it, they really jumped on board of trying to catch that place up over there on Horton Mill, the baseball, softball, soccer, and football complex. Now basketball is played at the Old Boys and Girls Club, but when I first come in, we had a lot of lighting problems, a lot of electrical problems, and we started working on those last year. We received a grant of $100,000. It was a 50-50 grant, so the county matched $50,000. We were able to light one field and redo one field, and then we've also gone through and rebuilt some of our electrical panel boxes to kind of help with lighting issues. And then we've also dealt with fences that were really old and falling down, and the commissioners have been gracious enough to give us those funds to start rebuilding those fields and kind of rejuvenating our infrastructure that we have, and we've been lucky, and we really appreciate the support of the commissioners.
So what else in 4 years do you think that's
Learning different personalities. Everybody's different. I think dealing with the citizens on a daily basis has been great. Not everything's bad, but that's a learning curve. Is not everybody. You can't deal with everybody the same way. So that's probably one of the biggest learning curves for me.
How many teams do you have?
19 teams. The girls range from 16 and under to all the way down to 3 years old, and then the boys go from 14 years to 3 years old.
So what would you like to see, and so you've been here 4 years, so in the next 4 years, what would you like to see?
I would like us to, I've spoke of this at a commissioners meeting, and I spoke of this to some of my supervisors, I guess you could say, is really like to get a grant to build some sort of community center that would be a recreation gym, but it will also maybe house other recreations that are not that don't fall in my department, such as like the senior center or something like that, and all kind of just build one big location for even that to be done there, because the Old Boys and Girls Clubs, I mean, most of the Crawford County people know that building was built in the 60s. So it's very old, and it is requiring a lot of maintenance these days, and so that's what I would like to see done, plus a playground at the park, and continue to improve our infrastructure.
Well, What about other sports? Okay, now we're in baseball, softball, and you do basketball.
Yes, ma'am. We just finished up basketball at the latter part of February, and then moved into baseball and softball. Once baseball and softball conclude, we'll get into, around August, we'll get into football, soccer, and cheerleading, and that'll run until November. And then in November, of course, basketball comes back in, and we'll run that till February.
And can you tell us a little bit about your funding? I know most of it comes from fundraisers, doesn't it?
Well, when I come in, we do have an operating budget through the county. All of our finances are run through the county's offices. We are allotted so much money a year from the county commissioners for projects and for just to help us keep our overhead and stay as a balanced budget. But everything that we make, registration money, sponsorship money, comes back to us. It goes into our budget, and we operate with that all year long.
So tell us what's on tap for Saturday. It's opening day. What
Yeah,
all
opening
that
day,
involved?
we have, those that have been there before, we'll have our national anthem, a prayer. We'll introduce all of our sponsors, all the teams that the kids are on. And then we're also going to be promoting a FCA day. It's a Fellowship Christian Athletes Day that we're going to have at the park on Sunday, April 22nd. And that's going to try to bring some youth out and fellowship and things like that. And we'll be promoting that here soon.
Okay, great. So what time does it all start Saturday?
11 a.m. Open ceremony starts at 11. First game starts at 1. Games. We'll have more than one. And then last games will start at 4. And then we'll conclude the evening around 6 o'clock.
And the concession stands will be open?
Oh, it'll be fully stocked and ready to go. We encourage everybody to come out. We have great hamburgers, hot dogs, nachos, all your favorite ballpark foods. So.
All right, sounds like a great day, so we encourage you to attend. Well, thank you, Doug, for being here today. We
Thank you for having me.
appreciate you and looking forward to Saturday and other things that are upcoming with the Recreation Department. I get so many compliments about Crawford County's Recreation Department.
And we're trying hard. And we're trying to influence more people to come in. I think the talk of the town about 2 or 3 weeks ago was we had a travel ball baseball tournament that come in. They brought 19 teams with them, none of them from this county. And there was a couple local restaurants that stopped by to ask how long that was going on because they weren't prepared. So that's a good thing.
Yeah,
that's our goal is to influence people to come to Crawford County, even if it's through recreations.
Well, it affects a major part of our community. So,
It does.
you know.
It does. And I think my biggest thing is the negativity that people see in our county, and all they got to do is come to the rec department and they'll find all the positive they want. So I encourage everybody to come out.
All right, well, great. Well, hope everything goes well Saturday. And what's the weather looking like, you know?
It's supposed to be mostly or partly cloudy, I think. High around 74, lows around 50, I think. So it's supposed to be a good day.
Okay, before you go, Doug, let's tell me about your background. You were a fireman and now you're recreation. So how did you get to that point and what did that involve?
Well, I'm still a firefighter. I'm actually a sergeant, assistant training officer at the department I work at. I do this part-time as a recreation director. My management skills and things like that kind of encouraged me to apply for the position, but I also have a love for sports. My kids play sports. But I played high school baseball at Crawford County High School. I played middle school baseball at Crawford County Middle School. I played mite and midget football in Macon when I was younger. I didn't play much football when I got older, but I do have a sports background. My family, we're big time sports fans. College football, Major League Baseball. We're really enjoying the local hockey team, the Macon Mayhem, and the Mercer Bears. Every sport program they have, we try to attend, and so we love sports. So the love of sports drove me to apply, on top of the management skills that I had developed as a firefighter and training officer.
Wow, so homegrown. We got a homegrown,
Homegrown.
and sometimes that really makes a difference.
Yes,
because
ma'am.
we know you're invested in the community and you love the community.
I
so.
do. I sure do.
All right, well, we thank you, Doug Kelly, for being here today, Crawford County Recreation Department, and remind you that Saturday is opening day for baseball, softball, begins at 10 o'clock, and we hope that you will take time out of your day to drop by there and see everything that's going on. Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, we're back. We just had Doug Kelly from the Crawford County Recreation Department. Now my cohort, Linda Reynolds, is joining us. We're going to talk about upcoming things and fake news today. So, also this weekend on Saturday,
The grand opening.
Yeah, grand opening of Dollar General, and you sure don't want to miss that. They've already had a soft opening, and they've got an expanded line of different things. No fresh produce yet, but
They have frozen and canned vegetables and fruits,
yeah.
and they have frozen meats, and they have things like frozen pizza and things like that in the store that people in Crawford County can go buy there. And they also have clothing. I was surprised at how much clothing they have. A baby department and everything.
So be sure to go by and check that out. Donna Henley is the manager over there, and there's a survey on the bottom of your receipt that she would like for you to fill out, because they're hoping that in the future they might get fresh produce or get something else that the community might need. And it's a big asset to Crawford County and Roberta, and we sure are glad that they're finally in the new building and that we have them here in Crawford County. So go by and say hello and tell them we sent you. In today's day, there's a lot of discussion and a lot of things about fake news, Linda. So what's your opinion on fake news?
Well, the thing that I think is most important is to know that journalists try to get things right. Nobody wants to purposely, well, I shouldn't say nobody, but most of us that are in the business want to be responsible and report what we see in as most unbiased way that we can, and basically report the news. Now, I think there was a recent survey that lies or fake news or misrepresentations get circulated twice as fast as real news.
Of course.
So, it's hard to keep up with that. I think if you get your news from a variety of sources, that's your best bet. Read the newspapers, watch different kinds of television, TV, different points of view. If you are looking at CNN one night, you might want to try Fox the next, and CBS on the third night. I mean, people are trying to be responsible, but it's up to us as individuals to get different points of view.
Exactly, and it's up to us as individuals to check our sources too. Many times people share things on social media that might have been 3 or 4 years ago, or it might not even be true. Even though it might look current, it's not true. So it's important that you take that responsibility upon yourself to check the sources and see whether it's really true or not. And if you want news that's not fake, be sure and subscribe to the Georgia Post, because our news is definitely not fake. And that doesn't mean that we don't make mistakes from time to time, because you can make mistakes when you're transposing your notes that you take, that you're writing in a real hurry, but we try not to. And when we do admit that we've made a mistake. Journalism is different today because people rely on social media so much, and it's
And we're more than twice as likely to believe something that agrees with our own opinion.
True.
So we have to challenge ourselves to be very circumspect. If we hear something kind of outrageous, do I only want to believe that because I want to believe it, or should I fact check it? And I think that's important.
I think we should fact check it, but of course, again, I don't necessarily agree with Snopes.com like everybody does, because they can be wrong as well, but you need to do the best that you can as far as checking where your news is coming from and whether it's fake or not, because anybody can post anything on social media, and they can call themselves a news organization, they can call themselves whatever they want, but that doesn't mean that they're reliable or that they're true, because there's some spoof things out there like Onion, I think it's called Onion or whatever, that
Purple Onion
or something. I'm not sure, because I don't really get into that, but they actually do spoofs on the news, and it's definitely not true, but some people post that as if it's true. So we've got to be responsible adults.
And again, do a 360 check.
Yeah.
Look at other news sources that you might be less willing to agree with, simply to challenge your own perceptions of the news. And just because somebody calls something fake news doesn't mean it's true. It might actually be real news. And it's funny, I think we've only heard that fake news moniker in the last year or two, right? I hadn't heard it before then.
They called it something else 3 or 4 years ago, and you didn't hear it quite as much as you do now because, and it is, we have a tendency to label everything fake, especially if we don't agree with it now or we disagree with it or whatever. And that's another thing, just because you disagree with somebody doesn't mean that you hate them or that you can't get along. Used to be a time in our country where you could agree to disagree.
And we do on a frequent basis.
Yes, Linda and I definitely do. But we still get along, we can still laugh together, and we still consider ourselves friends, and we can go on, but there's a majority of the population that can't do that, but it's something that we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And to have a respectful conversation with somebody who disagrees with you is an art form. It's a skill set that I think is being lost.
I agree.
As people age and young people get into the workforce. It's something that really needs to be taught. And I think people used to sit on their porches and teach each other how to disagree and treat each other respectfully. And I think some of that is being lost as we succumb to the pull of social media and people who agree with us.
Yeah, and we don't want anything to do with them or whatever if they disagree, and that's not the way it should be. I know when I was growing up, my dad and I used to argue all the time, and at first it bothered me, but then I realized he was doing it to challenge me and just to have a conversation to make me think and to make me maybe think about what he was saying, and also it really helped me and to realize that you can have a disagreement and you can still.
That devil's advocate question?
Yeah.
Let me just be
Yeah.
the devil's advocate. Think about it this way. What do you say to that?
Yeah.
That's an important skill set.
Yeah, it definitely is, which, like you said, is being lost today, especially with our young people. So, but please be aware of where you're getting your news from, and double check that, and be exposed to a variety of opinions and stuff, so you can help develop your own opinion. Let's talk a little bit about newspaper today. Is it still relevant, do you think?
I think newspapers are one of the most relevant sources of news, especially local news. You are not going to buy the New York Times and find out who won the Crawford County baseball game.
No.
You're not going to find out when the grand opening of the local Dollar General is. And it was a serious blow to Crawford County when we lost the Piggly Wiggly. And we're very glad that Dollar General has built a brand new building in a beautiful site. If you haven't been down there, you should go see it. The grass is gorgeous, the site location is perfect, and it's one of the biggest Dollar Generals it is the biggest Dollar General that they build. They used to have a format called Dollar General Market, which did include a whole line of groceries, but they don't do that anymore. That's not in their business model anymore. So we actually got the biggest and best that their current business model has to offer.
And it went up very fast.
It went up extremely fast.
Well, when I was a young journalism student, they said that newspapers would be dead. That's been more than years than I want to remember, but they said that newspaper would be dead in 25 years. It's been more than 25 years. It's still going, and I think you hit it on the head. Local, local, local. You can't put that tablet in a scrapbook. It's just not the same, and there's so much that the local newspaper can do. To me, newspapers have always been history of a community, and if you go back in the archives, you can see how that history is developed, and it's amazing over the years how things have changed and what's changed and who's come and gone.
And we at the Georgia Post and the Byron Buzz make a real effort to go to the city council meetings, the county commissioners meetings, and Board of Education meetings to let you know what's happening in your community. Most of the time, the public doesn't show up to these kinds of things unless there's an issue that's going to hit their wallet. And or directly affects them.
That's
So
right.
it's important to keep up with what's going on in the community. Who knows, they may raise your taxes.
That's right. That's why they call us the fourth estate. You know, so, and we do follow the money and try to let you know when your pocketbook is going to be affected by your local governing authorities. And we have good authorities here in our community.
I think the important thing is that there are good people everywhere on the planet, but you live in a community with your neighbors. Some of them, as we said before, you like or you don't like, or you agree with or you don't agree with, but we live in communities. And to be involved in your community, whether it's at the rec center and local sports teams, or whether it's at the senior center, or attending public meetings, maybe even running for office. Good people are trying to do good things for your community, and it's important that we follow that and inform the public.
And it's important too, when you know that they're doing good things, to tell them that they're doing a good job, because they very rarely hear that. So let's talk about some things that are coming up in the newspaper this week. We have, of course, pictures from the new Dollar General. We're going to have a leftover story that we had about IT problems with the city. There's a meeting story on the county commission that was held week before last.
And a wrap-up on Peaches to the Beaches.
And a wrap-up on Peaches to the Beaches. But last week, in our paper, we had a discussion with Brent Lowe about eSplosh, which please make yourself aware and educate yourself on what they want to do with both, because we also have a T-Splosh, which is coming up, and the election will be on May 22nd, and you need to educate yourself on these issues so you know which way you're going to vote.
And again, 8% taxes is a lot to ask for a small community. But the benefits of voting for these things will increase the opportunity that each community has to offer, will increase the infrastructure, definitely affect education and the safety of our students. Are we going to try and have Paul Chapman on?
Yes, we're going to see if we can't, Paul or someone, to talk about T-Splosh in the near future. And eSplosh now is just a continuation of the tax that's already going on. It'll be a 5-year continuation, but T-Splosh is a new tax for us.
But I think the point with that one is that it's a regional tax.
Yeah, it's a
regional tax, and 11 counties are participating in this vote. The thing about Crawford County is they're going to be collecting, Crawford County will collect only about 2% of the funds that will go into the total T-Splosh budget. But they get like 72% more back in road improvements and infrastructure.
It was a good bit of money. I don't remember the exact figure, but it was a good amount of money.
2% of that.
But I mean, the total, somebody said, well, almost $1 million, I think, maybe 700,000 for Crawford County.
And the city of Roberta gets money, Crawford County gets money, and some of these road improvements will not be made without this tax. There is no way that Crawford County alone could raise this kind of money, even if they were pass a tax.
And if you talk to the commissioners, I know that they would tell you that they spend 90% or maybe more, maybe 95% of their time on roads and roads improvements, because people want their roads travelable. You know, they want to be able to ride up and down them without potholes. And
Yeah. When I interviewed Paul Chapman for the October issue of the Georgia Post, he was actually kind of angry about how much time and money the county commissioners had to spend on roads for Crawford County. He said if they could take that off his plate, they could do so much more for the county. And so the T-Splosh would actually take a lot of those decisions off our plate and provide the infrastructure that he needs.
and we hope, like I said, in the future that Paul or somebody else will come on the show and talk about T-Splosh, so we'll know a little bit more and be a little bit more educated about it. But speaking of the commissioners, Paul Chapman, who is chairman, is being challenged by former county manager Pat Kelly for his commission seat. And Sterling Braswell, who's the incumbent, is being challenged by Frank Holmes, who quite frequently attends the county commissioners meeting and always asks intelligent questions of them and challenges them on when things need to be challenged. So that's also going to be coming up on the ballot. So, and we hope that we'll be able to have them on a future show as well to discuss, you know, their different views on what's going on in our county.
Have their own little political debate
Yeah.
for Crawford County.
Yeah, yeah. So hopefully we can have them on, you know, at the same time or whatever, and hopefully it will be a friendly discussion. We thank you for watching our show. If you have some ideas for future shows, somebody that you would like to see us ask questions about, send us your questions, send us your suggestions. Our door's always open. One person we already know that we're trying to get is Sarah Greer with the Crawford County 4-H, and we would like to have somebody from Dickey Farms discuss the upcoming peach season, as well as their strawberry field that is new this year. So any suggestions that you have for people to be on our show?
I didn't realize Dickey Farms had planted a strawberry field.
New for this year, so.
That's great.
So.
See, you're learning stuff about Crawford County all the time.
And you work for the newspaper. You should. Thank you for watching our show today, and be sure to support your local community of Crawford County. Thank you, and be sure to subscribe to the Georgia Post as well if you don't already, so you can stay up to date on what's happening in our communities. We thank you for watching. We appreciate our communities and our readers, and we appreciate Beverly at Flint Cable for allowing us to do this show. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.